Listen up, people. Manscaped have done it again. This time, it's the Chairman Pro, giving you a clean, close shave. The Chairman Pro is waterproof. The Chairman Pro has long-lasting battery life. And you use the code FTM20 and you will get 20% off of this product. Yes, people, we're back. Good afternoon or good evening or morning, wherever you're listening around the world. Big up to every single one of you for being here bright and early. I really appreciate it. Make sure you hit the like button. Let's get these likes up, people. Need to make sure that we hit the like and the subscribe button, the two buttons that are the most important for you. Do not cost you a penny, but do so much for the channel. Big up to every single one of you for doing that. Also, if you would like to become a member, you can click the join button now, and you will pay a minimal fee to help, of course, the content monthly for the channel, but please hit like and subscribe. Please do that. If you haven't checked out the last couple of shows, you might want to. Deji on absolute fire. Tottenham are back as far as he's concerned now that they've beaten Manchester City. Deji, I do love you, mate. Never change. Make sure you go check out the Race for Europe from last night, and This is London. Also put a couple of clips out of Dee and Lawless going absolutely at each other last night yet again. They're always at each other's throats, these two, I'll tell you that now. But make sure you go and check that one out. And we've got Deji singing songs. It's worth a watch and worth a listen. But make sure you've got your fingers in your ears while you're doing it. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you for just joining. Make sure you hit the like and the subscribe button. What we're going to talk about today, well, we're going to be talking about tonight's game, which I think is a must-win game. If we were to go through into the top 8, we need to win tonight. So we're going to be discussing that. We're going to be looking at what happens with our team tonight. We have got news, injury news, predictions, and we're going to go through what I think the team might be. So kick back, make sure the like and subscribe's hit, and then we can crack on with the show. I'll be on the terrace at 3:30, so please make sure that you stay tuned for this one. It will redirect you over to the football terrace at 3:30, where me and LB will be on. You don't want to miss it. Trust me, LB's going to get cooked yet again. And to be fair, I quite enjoyed Manchester City's cooking this week. It's been nice. It's not very often that we can say that Manchester City are in the mud. And boy, 5 in a row. If they lose against Feyenoord, it'll be 6 in a row. If they lose against Liverpool, it'll be 7 in a row. Could you believe it? Wow. Stranger things have happened in football. I don't actually remember. So maybe someone in the chat can let me know. When was the last time a top elite class manager lost 5 in a row? When was the last time? I don't remember Wenger doing it. I don't remember Sir Alex Ferguson doing it. I don't remember Conte or Mourinho doing it or Ancelotti doing it. Trying to think of other Chelsea managers that were top elite level. I don't remember Tuchel doing it. I don't remember Klopp doing it. I don't remember Rafa Benitez doing it. I don't remember Pellegrini doing it or Mancini. I don't even think Sir Bobby Robson did it at Newcastle. There's certainly not been any other Man United managers that have done it. Wow. Pep Guardiola, one of the best ever. And he's done it 5 in a row. It's incredible. It really is. And long may it continue. But we're not here to talk about City. We're here to talk about Arsenal. And I thought I would start by talking about this Champions League, because if we look at the table, it's very early days. But it does give you a little bit of an indication that this might be a little bit all over the place. And I'll tell you why. Because as much as I think Liverpool deserve to be up there, they've been phenomenal. They really have. The team that we play tonight are actually second in the league. If you look at where we are right now, they have literally got all 3 wins with a draw. They're on fire. Now, Sporting Lisbon have lost their manager in Ruben Amorim. They've also got one of the best strikers in world football right now on form. He is on fire. And he's not just scoring for club, he's scoring for country. He's not just scoring in the league, he's scoring in the Champions League. He, let's be real, scored some very important goals against Manchester City. So now it's our turn to go and keep them quiet. And I have to say, I think it's a tough place to go. Ruben Amorim leaving, I'm not even sure where they're at right now in terms of interim coach, but obviously they're looking to appoint somebody. But they will definitely have their wits about them. They know that Arsenal are coming to town. They know they have to be on form. They've still got top quality players. They're going to be hard to break down. I'm a big fan of Diamande at the back for them. I think he's a superb centre-half. Inacio as well, I think he's still there. So they've got a good centre-half pairing. They've obviously got quality in the midfield. And if you look at some of the players that have come through the ranks at Sporting Lisbon, it has been superb showing. Obviously, Nani, Ronaldo, as in Cristiano. They've also had players like
Bruno Fernandes have come through. So they've always had a little bit of creativity and flair to their games. Last time we played Sporting, we know what happened. We didn't manage to get through both of the legs, and that was in the Europa League. Both Sporting and Arsenal are now in the Champions League. And to be fair, I don't think Arsenal will be too impressed so far with their away form, but Sporting Lisbon certainly will be with their form in this competition. Sitting in second, looking pretty in second as well, I must say. But along with them, there are some names that you might not expect to be in this top 8. I have to say Monaco and Brest are two teams that I did not see in the top 8. And maybe they won't be by the time that we finish. We're halfway, aren't we? We've played 4, we've got 4 to go. Normally it's 6 games. This new format provides us with 2 extra games to play. And if I'm honest with you, we might need those 2 extra games, because if it wasn't for those 2 extra games right now, we'd actually be struggling. We really would. Now, Arsenal, you can just see them. They are in 12th place at the moment, which is not good enough. That would be only good enough for a playoff. But it's all very, very close. A win tonight and it will put us on 10 points, which is at the moment up there with the likes of Sporting, Monaco, Brest and Inter Milan. Now, Liverpool are absolutely flying high because they've won all 4 of their games, putting them in 12 points. But they've actually had some difficult games. They've got one to come up, and Real Madrid. Now, what's really interesting about this new format, people have said to me, do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you not like it? Do you like the fact that you only play the people once and you can't go back and get revenge if you lose? That really doesn't bother me. I heard Robbie talking on AFTV about how it's frustrating that, we lose to Inter Milan and then we don't get to go and play them at home to try and get our revenge and our players back. I don't really care so much for that. I actually don't mind it. I don't like the fact we play 2 extra games. I think that's quite frustrating. But I don't actually mind the fact that we have the opportunity to be looking at other teams now. Remember in the group stages where you had 3 teams and that was all you cared about? Let's just say last season, I think we had Seville, I think we had Lens, and there was another team that someone will tell me in the chat. I was only really bothered about those 3 teams. I was not interested in anything other than those 3 teams. But with this league table now, looking at this, I'm looking at the Juventus result today. I'm looking at Man City, Atalanta, Villa, Dortmund, Barcelona. I'm even looking up the top to see, right, where are we? How far are we away from Sporting and Monaco and Liverpool? Normally, you wouldn't be doing that, right? You normally would not be doing that. So I think there's definitely an opportunity for this format to be a little bit more exciting, given the fact that there's going to be a lot more people looking around. A lot of the teams will be looking at Arsenal right now. If you look at where Arsenal are in the league, 12th, but we're in and around some of these teams that are from the top 8. But then after that, it really does get quite close. Atalanta from 9th down to 19th there. You can see that literally there's like a point in it. So this is going to be so close. And we are down there with some big teams as well, people. This isn't Arsenal being outside of the top 8 alongside some of the absolute dross that we see in the Champions League. We're down there with Atalanta, Man City, Juventus, Bayer Leverkusen, Lille, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Benfica. Even when you keep coming down now, you've got AC Milan, Feyenoord, the current champions, Atletico Madrid, PSG. It really does not get any easier as you start to go down. Now, of course, you expect the teams like Red Star Belgrade, like Bratislava, Sturm Graz, Young Boys. I expect all those teams to be down there. Yeah, but as you start to look up, I'm not so sure I predicted some of these teams to be this low. Not with 4 games gone. I thought maybe the first couple you could look at it and go, yes, all over the place. But we're halfway, and there's a lot of teams that would be expected to get into the top 8. If I'm honest with you, PSG would want to be higher. Atletico Madrid under Simeone would want to be higher. Perhaps AC Milan would. But Bayern Munich and Real Madrid would definitely want to be in the top 8 right now. I look at Leverkusen after their treble, pretty much. Invincible treble they nearly got. And I look at where they are now. They're not going to be happy. Arsenal losing to Inter Milan and dropping points at Atalanta away. They're not going to be happy with what they've got so far. But this can change very quickly. Because look at the teams that could drop. Monaco, I don't put my money on them winning the rest of their games. Brest, I don't put my money on them winning the rest of their games. Aston Villa have actually got Juventus. I don't put money on Aston Villa at the moment, beating Juventus the way they're playing. Dortmund are very inconsistent. Inter Milan and Barcelona, you expect them to be in and around the top 8 along with Liverpool at the moment. But other than that, any of those could drop out. So it could be quite interesting. Now, Arsenal have got to pick their format. And at the weekend, we did. But we haven't really looked that great in Europe. And I'll tell you what worries me about Arsenal right now. Away from home in Europe, it's been poor. It has. I've just got to say it. It's not been good. And this doesn't just stop this season or last season. It actually goes into some of the Europa League performances, some of the Champions League group stage performances of last year. I've seen us go away and have some real bad trips, if I'm honest with you. Obviously, Atalanta was a draw during a hard period of time, actually, in terms of our fixture schedule, but we didn't score. Inter Milan, we lost and we didn't score. We've been away to Porto. We lost that game 1-0. We've been away to Bayern Munich. We lost that game 1-0. So that's 4 games now where we've lost 3 of them 1-0 and we drew 1-0 and we have not scored a goal away from home in 4 of our last European games. That is not good. Not good form. And then you can take it back further and you can look at the group stage of last year. We lost to Lens, if you remember, in that game. I remember us going away from home in Europa League games, and not having good performances. Funnily enough, against Sporting Lisbon, I think it was a draw in the end, 1-1. I've seen us go away and do... I mean, let's be real, it was different back then in terms of the Europa League, and it was a different squad as well. But in a nutshell, Arteta's stats are not great in Europe away. That needs to change tonight. And I think that there's an opportunity for it too because of our players that have come back. And we need to be realistic about that. We have had a lot of injuries. We have had a lot of suspensions. We've had some problems. And this is why I thought in the summer we didn't do enough. I was crying in the summer saying, we ain't serious. And it wasn't because I didn't believe the 15 players we had were good enough. It's that we need more than 15 players. We need 20 to 25 players in this squad now because look at the amount of games they're playing. And this is if you want to go for all 4 competitions. If you fancy just going for the league and losing everything else around you, then that's fine. You can have 15 players. But for me, we need more than that. We need to be going for all 4. And when you're going and competing on all 4 fronts, you need a squad. We finally got a little bit of a squad back. Now, I don't rate some of the players still. I think that they've got to improve. I also think that some of the individual performances have got to get better. But as a team against Forest, we looked a lot more free-flowing. We looked so much more attack-minded. I felt like we took the shackles off. And I felt like we proved that we are an attack-minded side and that we do have quality to beat anybody on our day. And a lot of people said that Forest didn't really turn up. I don't think we allowed them to. I think we stifled them at the weekend. And I want that to keep going. I don't want to see this change of style now that we're going away, that we're going to now go back, defensive again and start launching some crosses in the box. I think our style is something that's been really, really important for Mikel Arteta. I think Mikel Arteta does want to play that way, but I think he overthinks and I think he becomes overcautious very, very quickly. And I think sometimes that's affected him. I don't mind going to Villa Park and setting up that way because we won 2-0. I don't mind winning at Spurs away the way that we did. I don't even mind going to the Etihad and actually having a go at them and then going down to 10 men and having to put in that performance to try and keep at least a point. I don't mind doing that. But I don't want to see those performances against teams like Bournemouth or Brighton or Brentford or Wolves in the future. That's not what I want to be seeing. Because as we've just proven against Forest, we can blitz teams when we want to. It was a convincing win. It was one that we needed, by the way. And it was massive. But what was quite clever, I thought, for the weekend was the players that he managed to keep fresh and fit. And I'm not just talking the players that he left out, the players that he started and the players that he took off. I expect to see some positives from that tonight. I expect to see us in a position where we can actually look at that and think, yeah, do you know what? That was the right thing to do. It was absolutely key to drop this player, to rest this player, to bring him off when he needed to be. And I look at what we could do tonight and I think, yeah, I've got more confidence now. I've definitely got more confidence in Martin Odegaard. That's for sure. I've always been a fan of him. I always thought he was good, but I never quite understood why he couldn't quite get the goals and assists that we needed him to. And then a couple of seasons ago, he delivered. And last season, he delivered again. And we've seen now, this season, for the 3rd time in a row, how important he is to this side. Not just in terms of what he does off the pitch, because I think he is quite key in terms of the leadership qualities, because he's a captain, and also what he does in terms of leading by example. But I think on the ball, the drive, leading by the press, his vision and his awareness, his creativity, some of the passes, some of the touches, some of the delivery, his weight of pass is just fantastic. And I think he's driving us forward now. But I think what he does is he makes a very strong right-hand side even stronger. And it's something that I've felt was a little bit lopsided with Arsenal in the last few seasons. I don't quite think we've got that left-hand side right yet. And I still think there's parts of the puzzle that are missing on the left-hand side. I still feel like there's a left winger and a left 8 that we might need. I still think the left back needs to be guaranteed to be that guy. I think we need sustainability because, let's be real, on that left-hand side, there's only really Gabriel that 100% starts. Right now, because of the situation that we're in, Calafiori definitely plays at left back. I think Martinelli should be given the left wing spot. I don't think Trossard's quite cut it so far this season in parts. And I think Marino is the number 8 that Mikel Arteta wants. But right now, I think Rice has to play there because Partey's been so good. So there's definitely options for us now. We look at the squad and we think that there can be some rotation now. There can be, with players back, some subs that can come on and actually impact on the game. And I think that everybody will probably agree with me that, like me, when a player comes on, you want that game to be lifted or that sub to make an impact. And I think that sub at the moment is Ethan Nwaneri. I think when I look at Ethan Nwaneri, I do believe there is not just a star and a talent there, but I actually do think he's probably one of the better players to bring on from the bench now. Because sometimes when you bring on the others, you don't really see much of a difference. You think it's more either like for like, or actually it kind of regresses you. I remember over the years, and we're bringing on Eddie Nketiah, or we're bringing on Reece Nelson, or in some cases we're bringing on Fabio Vieira, Kivior, Holding, Cedric. They're coming on and you're thinking, oh, nah, that's not going to take us forward. Now when you're bringing on Ethan, you start to get lifted and you're out your seat going, come on then, what's this guy going to do? And when he dummies and he spins and he turns on the ball and he drops the shoulder and he gets ready to shoot, you're getting lifted, you're getting ready, you're getting excited to be with this player. And I feel like he brings emotion to fan bases. I think when you look at what Ethan does on the ball, he takes you on a journey with him. And that's what I love. Players like that, they deserve more minutes. And I hope that Mikel Arteta gives him more minutes because I think he deserves it now. I don't think we can look at Ethan Nwaneri anymore and think, yeah, 17, only if we need to. I think Ethan Nwaneri needs to be well in the mix now. In fact, I would rather bring him on instead of Jesus or Sterling. That's definite for me. I would actually rather bring him on instead of Trossard now. And it's not because of my preference. It's actually because of his reward. He deserves it, right? He's been brilliant against Bolton, Preston. He's been brilliant against Southampton. He's been brilliant against Leicester. He's been brilliant now against Forest. And he was brilliant when he came on the San Siro because without him, we ain't taking a shot at goal. I just feel like there's excitement and there's flair and there's creativity when he's on the ball. And I think he gives us something a little bit different. So I have to see more of him. Now, I don't think he's going to start. I think he could start. I think he's that good. But I don't think he's going to start. And I don't think that we're in a position to be playing him alongside Martin Odegaard. I think Mikel Arteta wants to play Marino or Rice in the 8, not Ethan. But Ethan can play there, for sure. Which is why in some games I'll be happy to see that. And in some games I'll be happy to see Ethan coming on, not for Odegaard, but actually coming on alongside Martin Odegaard. Because how many times did Manchester City look electric with KDB and De Bruyne? It's KDB and De Bruyne. KDB and Foden. Foden and Bernardo Silva. David Silva and KDB back in the day. So when I've seen two attack-minded players in the middle, I don't mind it. Now, we can't play it every single time. You don't really want to be going up against, a top side with those. You need some defensive ability as well, and you need someone who's box-to-box. But I think Ethan could be a very, very important player for us this year. And to be fair, the way the summer window ended, I feel like we kind of needed him to be that player. Because otherwise we needed to replace Smith Rowe and Vieira. It's fine saying that Ethan's come through, but when you're not going to give him the opportunity, you're still a player down. Because if Sterling's come in to replace Nelson and Ethan Nwaneri is not going to be the guy to replace Smith Rowe, then we still needed to replace Smith Rowe, Vieira and Eddie. So we were clearly short in the summer. I mean, the maths says we're short, right? But also the eye test says we're short as well. And I still feel that's going to come back and bite us in the backside. I really do. However, at the moment, we've got players that are fit. There's only really Ben White long-term that's injured. And I think that we need to look now at what we could do in this lineup. Before I do that, there is a forgotten man that is back in the squad tonight. And it won't surprise you to hear that I'm quite happy about this. Mikel Arteta has suggested on his team news talk that everyone is fit and everyone who's in the squad is fully fit to start the game. We have Kieran Tierney with us after a long injury. Well, hey, go on, Kieran. It's great news that he's back. He's been training with us and he is available to participate. Now, I don't want to start getting too excited about saying he will participate and saying that Kieran Tierney is going to start. But I think that there's something about the potential of him playing some minutes for us this season that I like. Now, I actually think there's an opportunity for him to play games. Don't get me wrong. I never ever believed that he would be a guy that, if he had to play, Arteta would rather play Lewis Skelly. But I do think that Kieran Tierney offers us something that I don't think a lot of other players do. And some people think just give over now, Dan, it's done, 4 or 5 years, he ain't good enough. I think it's not been about has he been good enough. I think he just doesn't suit Mikel Arteta's style of play. But I think he would play him if he had to. Something that Kieran Tierney does that I don't think a lot of others does is overlap on the left and swing the crosses in. That's something that none of our players do. Now, sometimes you don't want that because you don't want launch of crosses in, although we've been doing that most of this season. But I think if Kai Havertz was up top and Kieran Tierney was crossing it in, I fancy him to get his head on a couple of them. His delivery has always been good, Kieran Tierney. The other thing Tierney does is he allows us to actually defend first. And I understand that Mikel Arteta likes Zinchenko on the ball and Calafiori wants to be offensive with him. But when I have a left back in my team, I want him to be able to defend first. So I think that there is an opportunity for Tierney to be a really good player still. At 27, I don't think that he's finished. He's played more for Arsenal than Zinchenko, Tomiyasu, Partey and Jesus. So when people say he's washed and he's finished and he's injury prone, well, so are the other 4 then, because he's played more than those 4. So Kieran Tierney, in my opinion, I would be keeping him in the squad. He'd be my backup left back to Calafiori, and there'll be opportunities that I'd start him. But Mikel Arteta doesn't want that because he doesn't believe that he can invert. He doesn't see that he's fit enough, and he doesn't believe that he's good enough. So for that reason, I believe Kieran Tierney will probably be in squads, but not get the minutes that I believe he would probably want. If I had to put money on it, I would bet him going back to Celtic in January. That's what my bet would be. I think if you look at what Kieran Tierney did down that left-hand side with the likes of Saka and Martinelli back in the day, they were a brilliant left-hand side. And if I'm honest with you, I would argue our left-hand side hasn't been as good since those players were there under Unai Emery. When I see Tierney, Martinelli and Saka in some of those cup games, I remember playing against Bournemouth and it was Saka at left-back, Martinelli at left wing. And I thought, this is looking pretty good. And then Kieran Tierney come into the mix and we had Martinelli up front, Saka on the left and Kieran Tierney left back. And I thought, this is looking good. And that was under Emery. So I look now and I think, yeah, there is a player still there. But I think, unfortunately, for Arsenal and Kieran Tierney's sake, it's probably not going to be Arsenal that is his future. I can see him going back to Celtic. I think he needs to go and be happy. I think he needs to go and love football again. I think he needs to go and play. And I think he can do that in Scotland, where he's close to home. And I think he's always enjoyed it. He didn't seem to get injured as much over in Celtic. So maybe he needs to go over there. So let's see what happens. But if Tierney was to get a mention tonight, was to get an option to play tonight, I wouldn't be against it. I honestly don't have an issue with Kieran Tierney whatsoever. And I will say this, I don't have an issue with Tomiyasu. I don't have an issue with Tierney. I don't have an issue with Partey. They're good enough. They just ain't fit enough. With Jesus and Zinchenko, I genuinely think we've grown out of them. But with the other 3, Partey, Tomiyasu and Tierney, I actually think they're good enough. So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. So Tierney back in the squad. Let's go with what we think it might be, or what I think it might be then, shall we? Tonight, in terms of the lineup. This is the lineup that I think it will be. Now, I could be wrong, and please let me know in the chat if you think I am wrong. This is what I think it will be. With players that are fit, with players that have been rested, with players that did not play or that came off at the weekend, I think this will be the team. Raya will be in goal. Timber will play at right back because Ben White is now out. Saliba and Gabriel will partner each other at centre-back. And Calafiori will remain at left-back. And I quite like this back 4. I think this back 4 is what Mikel Arteta wants long-term. I really do. I've been mentioning Timber for quite a while now. And I do believe that he's better than Ben White at right-back. Now, I like Ben White at right-back a lot. But I just think Timber looks electric there. I think he looks brilliant. His athleticism, his overlapping, his defensive ability, his versatility, how comfortable he is on the ball. Everything we did going forward on that right-hand side, everybody thought it was Ødegaard and Saka. Now, Timber started that off every time. Go watch it again. Timber was outstanding, particularly in that first half. So that back 4 I expect to be there. Thomas Partey at number 6. I expect Thomas Partey to be the number 6 for Arsenal. I think he deserves to be there at the moment. Now, Jorginho had a really good first half against Nottingham Forest, but Partey was superb when he came on. Not only did he score an absolute screamer, but I think he's been our best player this season. I actually think Thomas Partey's been Arsenal's best player. Raya started better than him, but Partey has been consistent throughout. And I don't know that anyone is as shocked as me, or maybe even Mikel Arteta, as to how many games he's played so far this season. Now, I might jinx that, so I'm going to touch the old lucky lucky would on me desk to say that he won't get injured. But if I'm honest with you, Thomas Partey, when everyone's on fire, I think he's one of the best still. And I was asked this question by Kenny and Igal not too long ago. Who's Arsenal's best player? They all shouted out Saka, 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 Odegaard. And I said Thomas Partey, and a few people raised some eyebrows. I honestly believe when everybody is at their best, Thomas Partey is the best player on the pitch. He is phenomenal, mate. We are talking about a player that is levels above what most of the sixes do in the league other than Rodri. I honestly believe when everybody is fit, other than Rodri, he's our best. He is absolutely amazing. So I think he deserves credit. So I'm keeping him in the 6. That means Rice is playing in the 8 ahead of Merino. That's if Rice is fit. Rice at the moment, there's still worries about his toe injury as he got 100% fit. He didn't come on at the weekend, so I expect him to start tonight. If not, then he'll definitely start the weekend against West Ham, which is obviously his former club. If Rice does not play tonight, it will be Merino. Maybe Rice isn't quite ready, but I expect Rice to be okay tonight. And then we got Odegaard, who I think will start again. I think he has to. He'll captain the side. I think he's been absolutely brilliant. And I am looking forward to seeing him play again. He's at the moment a joy to watch. So let's hope he has another good game. And he needs to turn up tonight. It's a big game. It's a must-win game. And it's away from home in Europe. It's a place where a lot of people are struggling. And I do think there's an opportunity for Odegaard to have a good game again tonight. So that's what I'm going to be looking at. And then we come to a front three. Saka, Martinelli and Havertz. Now, it could be Trossard. I don't think Jesus and Sterling start this one. Although Jesus has been pretty good in the Champions League in the past couple of seasons. But Jesus at the moment just isn't quite looking good enough. Now, I know Lee said he thought he played pretty well against Forest. I thought he was one of our weaker players. Now, maybe that's a compliment because everybody was really good. But I just didn't think that Jesus offered us enough. Now, what was really quite worrying was we didn't really miss Havertz. And Jesus didn't play well. Now, normally you would say, oh, we didn't miss Havertz at the weekend because Jesus was so good. Or we didn't miss Havertz because we have a number 9 now that scores all the time. We didn't need a number 9 at the weekend. We were using Saka. We were using Odegaard. We were using, to be fair, our midfield and transition in Merino and Partey. Timber, Calafiori. They were our players that were showing us some creativity. Even Waneri when he came on. Even Sterling. Jesus, not sure what's happening here. Don't think he's got a future at the club long term. And Kai Havertz, as much as I like him as a squad player, I don't think he's a starter. I think that he can definitely start some games, but he's not a starter long term. I don't think you play Havertz and everyone goes, oh, scary. I think Havertz comes on and causes havoc and a nuisance, but I don't think you start him for 90 minutes. That's the way that I see it. We were a lot more free-flowing without Kai Havertz. We weren't smashing it up to him to try and lump it up for him to stick to it and try and link up somebody. I'd much rather play it on the floor, the way that I believe we should be playing football. So we were free-flowing. We were great to watch. It was a lot better without Kai Havertz. And I don't want to make that sound like Kai Havertz is the guy that we don't want to be seeing. Like, you know, it's not like, oh my God, Kai Havertz is in the team, we're going to lose the game. I don't think that at all. I actually think he can contribute a hell of a lot to the squad. I just don't think we should be playing him in every single minute of every single game. And at the moment, I can see why we are, because there's nobody else. Jesus isn't good enough. We haven't got another centre forward other than Trossard. I'm not really sure I like him in the false 9, if I'm honest. I don't mind him there, but is he really good enough to start there the whole time? Interesting, isn't it? So that's what I think the team will be. Martinelli down this left-hand side. He needs a good game tonight. He really does. He picked up a little bit against Chelsea. I thought he was one of the better players against... Who did we play on the home leg game? There was another game at the home that we played pretty well. I don't think Martinelli has had a left-hand side that's been set in stone, and it's time to allow that to happen now. It really is. I think there's going to be an opportunity where we see Calafiori, Gabriel, and then Partey and Rice. And then we start to see what Martinelli can do then. And if it's Merino for Rice, or it's Rice and Merino, fine. But we need to start seeing the left-hand side staying. I don't want to chop and change it. Because look at the right-hand side, right? We know it's Timber and Saliba, and then Wall White if he's there. We know it's Odegaard and Saka. On the left-hand side, it's Gabriel and Calafiori for now. Sometimes it's Gabriel and Kivior. Sometimes it's Gabriel and Timber. Sometimes it's Gabriel and Zinchenko. Other times in the past, it's been Gabriel and Tomiyasu or Gabriel and Tierney. And then in midfield, you've got Declan Rice in the 6, then Partey in the 6, then Jorginho in the 6. Now, I don't mind if players are getting absolutely crocked and we can't put a team together, but we're switching it round so much across the season that we can't seem to settle down this left-hand side. The number of changes on the right-hand side has been minimal in comparison to the left-hand side. Last season, we played Smith Rowe in the 8, Trossard in the 8, Rice in the 8, Havertz in the 8, Fabio Vieira in the 8, Smith Rowe in the 8. How many people did we play in the 8? And then left wing with 1 week it's Trossard, next week it's Martinelli. We need some sustainability, people. We really need some sustainability. Now, I like Jorginho, I like Partey, I like Rice, all of them in the 6, but let's just actually pick one and go with it. Let's stop chopping and changing it all the time, because otherwise we're not going to get any sustainability. I've got no problem with you changing it for the Carabao Cup, but we're not going to get any level of consistency or sustainability if we keep chopping and changing it every week. So right now, I think that left-hand side needs to be the least that we change it. I'd actually rather see some of the right-hand side players be changed in games. Bring on Sterling and for Saka. Bring on Ethan Nwaneri for Ødegaard. Bring on Jesus for Havertz. But don't touch that left-hand side. Let it gel. Let's get it together. Because we need it to be. We need it to be. Big time. So that's my thoughts. That's my thoughts on that one. I don't know what team they're going to play tonight, if I'm honest with you, Sporting Lisbon. But I do know that it will include and involve Victor Gyökeres. And this is a good game and a big game for Gabriel and Saliba to try and keep him quiet, because Manchester City couldn't. They could not keep him quiet. They struggled. They tried. But he, at the moment, is on absolute fire. And I do think he's a worry. And I do think he's a threat tonight. I badly want us to get him in January. The problem I've got is it ain't just Arsenal looking at him. And there's a release clause. And they're saying that it might even be that Sporting Lisbon accept bids of up to £65 million upwards. Now, Chelsea would pay that in January. Liverpool could pay that in January. Manchester United could pay that in January. And Manchester City could pay that in January. So we need to now start to talk to this guy and get him through the door in January, because that is the signing that can give us that boost. And we need it. With Manchester City and Liverpool facing each other at the weekend, Arsenal must beat West Ham. If Arsenal beat West Ham and both teams drop, which I hope that happens, we then go 7 points behind Liverpool. Now, 7 points behind Liverpool right now is very, very, very interesting when you've got to play them again and you've got the amount of games that we've got. So things in football can change very, very quickly. I just want to get to a stage where we're in touching distance again. Now, tonight, I'll come back to in a minute. But we need to go on a run now, because Liverpool have got difficult fixtures coming up. They've got Real Madrid tomorrow night. They've got Manchester City at the weekend. They've got Newcastle at St James's Park, which I know is tough and people will laugh because West Ham beat them last night, but they're going to want to bounce back. They've got Everton at Goodison Park, which is the last Merseyside derby at Goodison. And then they've got Fulham at home and Spurs away. So there's an opportunity for them to drop some points there, because they're not easy games, people. God knows what happens with Spurs. They're Spursy. Fulham, they look brilliant, then they look rubbish. Newcastle, they beat Arsenal, but then they lose to West Ham at home. You've got Everton at the moment that don't concede goals. They've got the most clean sheets in the last few games since Branthwaite's been back in their centre-half pairing. Then I look at what Manchester City could do at Anfield, and it makes me think that the worst result, I think, is actually Liverpool winning. I need Liverpool to draw or lose, if I'm honest. But then again, you look at Man City and think if they win, they're then not out of it. If they lose, I think they are done for the title. They might come second, but I think they're done for the title. 11 points, that's a mad amount. That means Liverpool have got to lose 4 games and Manchester City have got to win every other game, the rest of them. I don't see that's happening. I don't think Liverpool look like losing 1, let alone 4 games. So, yeah, it's tough. It's tough. And I think Jamie Carragher said something really fun the other day, and really key the other day. They were all having a laugh about, who they believe were favourites still. Let me ask you this. There's 25 games left, and Manchester City start on -11. Would you put money on them winning the league? I wouldn't. With 25 games to play, Arsenal start on -9. Would you put Arsenal to win the league? I wouldn't. So if they win at the weekend, Liverpool, it is theirs to lose. I think it's theirs to lose already. To go 9 points ahead and potentially 11 points ahead of Manchester City, They will win the league if they win this weekend. I've got like so much confidence in Liverpool winning the league if they win this weekend. So I want them to draw because it's perfect for Arsenal. Man City and Liverpool both dropping at a weekend is a dream, right? So let's hope that that's a draw. We beat West Ham, which I think we will. And then I think we've got an opportunity then. I think we've got a good opportunity to go on a run, keep it going. I don't think any of the games coming up, we're playing at bad times. Sporting tonight will be difficult, and I'll come to my prediction of that in a minute. West Ham is a must-win game. Yeah, they just won, but they beat Newcastle, who are inconsistent, and Lopetegui is terrible. We put 6 past them last year. I am not losing this game at the weekend. That's a win. I think we beat Man United. They look poor. Yes, Amarim's got to get them together now, and it's a different manager, but this new system, they've got to get a few weeks behind their belt. So that, to me, we have to win. And then I look at what's happening after that. Fulham. Yeah, it's tough. Trust me. Really tough. I think that we were going to. I thought we were going to drop at Craven Cottage. The way they're playing, we should beat them because they lost to Wolves 4-1 at home. Wolves have won 2 games. We should beat Fulham. We should beat Everton at home. We should beat Crystal Palace away. We should beat Brentford at home, and we should beat Ipswich at home. Sorry, Brentford away. So there's 7 games there, right? And I think we can win them all. But guess what? We've got to win them all. Because if we drop any more points and Liverpool pick up, I think it's done for both Arsenal and Man City. If Liverpool beat Man City at the weekend and Arsenal lose, I think the title is theirs. I think it's done. Actually, I'll go one better. If Liverpool win and Arsenal don't win, draw or lose, yeah, Liverpool have won the league. And I know it's early, but I would call it then. I would call it then. And it's a shame because we should be in Liverpool's position. We were waiting for Pep and City to drop and crumble. And when they did, it had to be us that was there. And it ain't us that's there. It's them. So I've got to say, it's quite interesting for people to look at the potential of calling it early. But sometimes you've got to be realistic. Football's funny. It can change. Liverpool could go on a slump and they could lose 4 in a row. But let's be real. Are they going to lose 4 in a row? It's very, very unlikely. So I have to be real. That's the Premier League. As for the Champions League, well, there's a lot of games tonight. Not just Arsenal that play, of course. And it should be quite a good night of football. So let's go through it very, very quickly with you guys before we come to a close. And we'll get predictions on all of tonight's games. Where are we? Let's share the screen. You think I should be able to do this by now? There we go. Brilliant. So some of them are early. Early kickoffs tonight are Bratislava versus AC Milan. I expect AC Milan to win that game. Sparta Prague against Atletico Madrid. I expect Atletico Madrid to win that game. Let's do some predictions, shall we? Bratislava 1, AC Milan 2. I'll go with Sparta Prague 0, Atletico Madrid 1. Manchester City Feyenoord. It's at the Etihad. Feyenoord are no mugs. However, Manchester City aren't losing 6 in a row. No way. No way. I'll go 2-0 Man City. Barcelona-Brest. Now, that is a big game because Brest are doing very well in the table and they are up there. I think they're 3rd or 4th at the moment. But I expect Barcelona to win at the Nou Camp. I'm going to go 3-1 Barcelona. Bayern Munich PSG. Wow, that's got to be game of the night, right? That's got to be game of the night. Bayern Munich versus PSG. Bayern Munich are winning that. PSG don't look good. Against us, they didn't look great. I think they win 3-1 Bayern Munich. I think they'll win comfortably. Inter Milan versus Leipzig. That's actually a really good game. Leipzig are doing very, very well. At the moment, they've got Marco Rose as their manager, who I think is a fantastic manager. And if I was West Ham, that's the one I'd be going to get. I think he is a superb manager. And he did really well with Dortmund. Young up-and-coming coach at the time. And I think he is a manager that you would look at 100% if you were Leicester right now. West Ham, definitely. For me, that's the one that I would go and get. Anyway, I expect Inter Milan to win this game 2-1. Young Boys versus Atalanta. I think Atalanta win this one. But I don't think they win it comfortably. I'm going to go 1-0 to Atalanta. Leverkusen, Salzburg. Again, another really good game. But I'm going to go with Leverkusen to win this one. 2-0. We'll come back to Sporting and Arsenal in a minute. Red Star Belgrade and Stuttgart. I'm going to go for a 1-1. Stuttgart are doing well, to be fair. They've got a good manager up and coming. But I will go 1-1. Tomorrow, we've got Sturm Graz and Girona. I fancy that to be a draw as well, if I'm honest. I don't know what Girona are doing at the moment, but they seem to have dropped off. I'll go 1-1. Aston Villa Juventus. I think Villa pull off a draw here. I'm going to go 2-2. I think Villa Park will be rocking, and I think they'll get 2-2, which will be a good result, to be fair, the way they're playing. Monaco and Benfica. Well, Monaco have been on absolute fire. Benfica, not so much. I think this one is a draw as well. I'll go 1-1. Tomorrow, PSV and Shakhtar Donetsk. I think PSV will win that at PSV. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win. Liverpool, Real Madrid. Wow. At Anfield, the way Real Madrid are playing, I think Liverpool win this one 2-1. I think the way they're playing, Real Madrid, I think Liverpool win this one. And they'll be in trouble. I mean, they'll go through, but they won't get in the top 8. Celtic versus Club Brugge. I fancy Celtic. Ibrox is such a good place to go for a Champions League night. And Club Brugge, I fancy Celtic. So I will go with a Celtic win. Bologna and Lille. Bologna are just not that team, are they, now that they've lost a few players and their manager? I'll go with Lille to win that one. I'll go 2-1. And Dynamo Zagreb and Dortmund, I expect Dortmund to win that quite comfortably. I think there will be a 2-0 win. Let's come to my prediction for Arsenal and Sporting Lisbon. Big up to Big Six Bands, man. Make sure you do me a favour. Go head over and subscribe to Big Six Bands, to Monson and all them guys. Make sure that you do that. Big up. Make sure you hit the likes, people, as well. We've got nearly 400 in here. We've got nowhere near enough likes. In fact, I don't even think we've hit 100 yet. Have we hit 100? No, we have not. 72. Come on, people. Please make sure you do me a favor. Hit the like button and hit subscribe. Let's get the likes up. Make sure you go check out manscaped.com. Link in the description. Linked in the pinned comments. Click there. You'll get 20% off FTM20. You get the Chairman Pro. You get the beard trimmer. You get the beard hedger. Or if you are below the belt, then you can get the Lawnmower 5.0 as well. They're doing performance packages at the moment for Christmas. Make sure you go and get a brilliant treat for one of your family members. Or if you want to treat yourself. Christmas is coming, though, people. 20% off. Do not miss out. So make sure you do that. Big up to Big Six Bands and to all of you guys for that. Make sure you hit the likes and run the likes up, people. Let's come to a close with the prediction. I thought we were going to drop points to Forest because I just wasn't happy with the way that we were playing. And I thought Forest were playing very well. The minute I saw the lineup, I really felt like Forest could get something. But the way Arsenal played was definitely a Mikel Arteta thing. Mikel Arteta believed that we could play attack-minded football and win the game. And he was right to believe that. Tonight is going to be different. I don't think we're going to be going all-out attack tonight. Because I think that Mikel Arteta will look at it a little bit more cautiously, which is a shame because I'd much rather just continue this the way that we've been playing. There's an opportunity for us to do that because I think there's this never say kind of die attitude of, do you know what, let's just go and give it a full crack now. But I think we draw this one tonight 1-1. And I think Victor Gyökeres scores. He's so good. And I think that we get a Kai Havertz goal. They're the two scorers. The big guys up top. 1 goal each, 1 apiece, and it's 1-1. So I'm looking forward to it. Let's see what we get. I hope that Arsenal convincingly win. I'd love another 3-0, right? But let's just be realistic. They're a good side. It's a tough place to go. We haven't scored a goal in Europe in the last 4 attempts. So I'm going to go with a 1-1. Let's see what happens. We need to get up that table, though. I think it's must win if we want to win and get into the... it's must win if we want to get top 8. I think if we draw this one, I don't think we're getting top 8. I think we're going to have to prepare ourselves for a playoff and hope that potentially we win all the other 3 and that all the results go our way and we can magically get into that top 8. If we win our 3 games and draw this one, we will be on 10 points. That will put us on, let's have a look at the table. That will currently, as we're on 7 points, that will put us on 17 points. They say you need roughly 16 to 18 points. It might be enough if we win the other 3, which are, of course, Girona away, Monaco at home, and Dynamo Zagreb at home. I would fancy us to win those 3 games. We win those 3 games and we draw tonight, we've still got a chance of top 8. If we win tonight and we win the other 3 games, and that's all of our 4 wins, we're in it. Win our next 4 and we're going to get in the top 8. That's what we've got to look at. That's the way I see it, people. Listen, do me a favour. Hit the like and the subscribe and don't go anywhere, because we're heading over to the Football Terrace now for Straight Facts with me, LB and Terry. And I'm going to cook them both. Terry thinks that LB's getting a cooking. I'm cooking Terry as well, because Manchester United were dusty. And as Deji would say, as dusty as Tutankhamun's coffin. Manchester United were dusty, so LB and Terry are going to have to hold that. And I'm the only one on the panel that held a W at the weekend. Big up to every single one of you. Make sure you show Manscaped some love. Go over to their website by clicking on the pinned comment now. Stay tuned, and I'll see you over on Straight Facts on the Football Terrace. Big up, people. See you in a bit.
Listen up, people. Manscaped have done it again. This time, it's the Chairman Pro, giving you a clean, close shave. The Chairman Pro is waterproof. The Chairman Pro has long-lasting battery life. And you use the code FTM20 and you will get 20% off of this product.
I nearly did it again. There's a super chat. I always do this. I keep looking at it. I go, I'll save super chats at the end. And I looked at the time and thought, I'm going to be late, but I cannot ignore this super chat from Tony. Gabby Jesus has always had great link-up play, but my God, he's just never in the right spot. You sound about as fed up as me, Tony, for us to score. Watching Isak versus our strikers hurts. It isn't just Isak at the moment I'm watching. I'm watching Marmoush. I'm watching Vlahovic. I'm watching Victor Gyökeres. I'm watching, obviously, Haaland. I'm watching quite a lot of strikers, and I'm thinking, wow, I would love one of those guys. But Gabriel Jesus, it just isn't happening. Tony, I do apologise. Thank you so much for the super chat. And thank you all so much for your interactions. And we will see you next time. Take care, people. I'll see you over on the terrace.